I'm Liz Hanlon and I'm the chair and report writer for this Safeguarding Adult Review regarding a female called Keita, meaning righteous. Keita is described by those workers who supported her as being a happy person with a lovely smile. She was self-sufficient and did not ask people for a lot. She would take clothing and food when offered and would always talk to people as they were passing. Keita would always ask after the support workers' families and would always make the effort to ask how they were. Keita was known to like cakes, and the support worker took her homemade cakes, and Keita was happy that someone had thought of her. The support worker stated that Keita was a really nice lady who did not deserve to die early. Keita was a white Latvian national who was aged 58 years at the time of her death. Keita spoke little English and whilst in Kent was street homeless, living in a tent. Keita moved to Kent for a job that didn't materialise. Upon arriving in Kent, Keita had sold her phone, losing all her contacts, and had also lost her passport and any identification documents. Keita had no recourse to public funds, but was being supported by a support worker whilst homeless who provided a high level of support. In November 2020, Keita reported an allegation of rape whilst in a tent by a male known to her. Due to a previous allegation of exploitation, Keita was supported through the National Referral Mechanism process by agencies. In May 2021, Keita was found by a passerby collapsed in a doorway. She was taken to hospital where she sadly died a short while later. The Kent and Medway Safeguarding Adults Board agreed that Keita's death met the criteria for Safeguarding Adult Review under Section 44 of the Care Act 2014. In early November 2020, Keita was verified as a rough sleeper by a support outreach team. A short while later, in November 2020, Keita made a rape allegation. The male was known to her, but Keita stated they were not in a relationship. The allegation was dealt with by the police, and the support was provided by the support worker, as Keita identified that she did not want a referral to support agencies. A referral was made to adult social care, who identified that the referral was in relation to Keita's mental health following the rape allegation. A joint visit took place with adult social care and KMPT, together with an interpreter, to look at the support that could be provided to Keita. Emergency accommodation was sourced and provided to Keita due to the identified concerns regarding exploitation of Keita, and the NRM process was started. Keita was placed into temporary accommodation by the Borough Council, and a housing needs assessment was completed. It was identified that Keita was not eligible support with housing due to having no recourse to public funding. Keita did not have EU settled status. The Borough Council offered Keita temporary accommodation out of county whilst the NRM was being processed. Keita returned to her tent shortly afterwards in December, stating that she felt unsafe and wanted to be back where she was as she knew people. At the beginning of December, Keita reported that she'd been assaulted in her tent by the same male suspect identified in the rape allegation. Keita declined to make a statement or to support any police action. A merit referral was completed and Keita was offered a place in a winter shelter. A further NRM application was submitted in March 2021 and a positive reasonable grounds decision was received. Keita was receiving support through several agencies. She was also receiving support through the Salvation Army and Hestia during the NRM process. In May 2021, Adult Social Care received a second Section 42 safeguarding referral in relation to potential friendship abuse and domestic abuse. Potential modern slavery issues were also identified through a risk assessment. However, Keita sadly died before any inquiries could be made. I will now talk about the learnings identified by this review. Keita was a national from Latvia who moved to England. Keita spoke little English, and there is evidence that agencies used interpreters to help and support her. The homeless support charity were able to access an interpreter that was flexible to the needs of Keita by contacting her over the phone or meeting her in person. This point of contact was subsequently used by other agencies as a relationship had developed between the support worker and Keita. This is good practice, but is reliant on the availability and goodwill of staff within certain agencies. There is good evidence of other agencies also accessing interpreters to support Keita. Following Brexit, the UK government processed a settled status and a pre-settled status scheme to regularise the immigration status of EU nationals and their family members who were lawfully resided in the UK as per their free movement rights. It's not an automatic right, but rather a status that EU nationals need to apply for and be granted. Keita had not applied for settled status and therefore had no recourse to public funds. The fact that Keita did not have settled status impacted on the level of support that could be offered to her, including the offer of housing. When a person has no recourse to public funds and is experiencing homelessness, it is necessary to pay particular attention to their social and economic well-being, suitability of living accommodation, and physical and mental health and their emotional well-being. The person's immigration status may mean that they are unable to access benefits, are likely to have insecure housing or be at risk of homelessness, and in some instances will not be able to work or access other services. Being in a precarious financial or immigration process can leave a person at risk of exploitation or domestic abuse. Consideration may need to be given about whether any safeguarding actions needs to be undertaken if a person is a victim of such behaviour. When the person has care and support needs that do not meet the eligibility criteria, the local authority must determine whether the power to meet non-eligible needs is engaged. This gives the local authority an opportunity to provide accommodation and financial support to a person who does not meet that criteria, but who is likely to experience a breach of human rights if they are homeless due to having complex or additional needs. Adults such as Keita, who are homeless, who have no recourse to public funds, who may also have certain vulnerabilities caused by addiction, are often targeted for exploitation. Keita at this time had been accepted on the NRM scheme, was being supported by agencies who were providing her with accommodation and were supplying her with funding. All this was taking place through Hestia, who were offering her weekly support. However, she was still susceptible to being exploited. This review has identified the need to ensure clarity and understanding that individual cases, whether concerned with modern slavery or any other serious adult safeguarding concerns, should be referred to vulnerability panels or other appropriate multi-agency professionals meetings. The initial safeguarding referral was closed by adult social care due to the three-stage Section 42 criteria not being met. However, consideration could have been given to a non-statutory Section 42(2) concern inquiry taking place. If the adult at risk only meets part of the Section 42 criteria and the risks are too high not to act, then adult social care could intervene. Making safeguarding personal does not mean that professionals stop engaging if a person declines safeguarding support and or a Section 42(1) inquiry. Empowerment must be balanced, for example, with the duty of care and the principles of the Human Rights Act and of the Mental Capacity Act. The inquiries into Keita's safeguarding referral identified that she did not meet the criteria for safeguarding. and therefore consideration was given to identifying other ways of supporting her. Within MSP, it's important to identify what the person wants, and in this case, it was identified that Keita needed support with her mental health. What appears to be missing is that professionals did not identify the professional risks surrounding Keita and the possibility that she might be targeted for exploitation. There is good practice of a high level of knowledge and joined up working in relation to modern slavery within Kent and Medway. The processes regarding the NRM pathways were well known to professionals, and there was good joined up practices in relation to which agency would be best placed to obtain the information from Keita, identifying who had the best relationship with her. There is good evidence of agencies working together in relation to trying to secure suitable housing for Keita and professionals trying to identify different areas of support. Possible modern slavery was identified at an early stage, and there is good evidence of professionals completing the NRM as best they could, even though Keita had a transient lifestyle. There is also good evidence of professionals trying to support Keita in relation to her settled status and helping her apply for new documentations to support her claim. Significant good areas of practice were highlighted by certain agencies who worked tirelessly with Keita to try and support her. There is also good identified use of the escalation process within the review. The full overview report is published on the Kent and Medway Safeguarding Adult Board's website, and I recommend that you read the report with its highlighted recommendations and findings. Thank you.